Hey, 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 welcome back to Trek Chat, a podcast brought to you by Trek on the Tube. I am your usual host, Sean, and I am joined today by the almost co-host, as we call him, Starfleet Boy. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And a very new guest, a very exclusive guest, TriAngulum Audio Studios. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me yet again on one of my Trek Chat adventures. Today, we are not doing an extravaganza about a movie or a TV show. We are going back to the traditional format. We're talking about a theme, a topic, and we're talking about sex. That's right.
Talk about sex, baby.
Exactly. We're talking about sex, more specifically in Star Trek.
Since we're talking about sex, just
Here we
FYI,
go.
today I'd like to be known as Sohail on the podcast instead of Starfleet Boy. Yeah, because it's my Starfleet Boy has never had sex, but Sohail has.
Starfleet Boy doesn't have enough experience to talk about it.
To talk about it exactly.
Okay.
So I'm going to use my alter ego.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. So it's Sean, David, and Sohail today.
Yes.
It's not.
I didn't want to rush you guys into that, but like if you're willing as well, yeah, I think it should be Sean, David, and Sohail.
One must not be rushed into six.
That's true. Unless they want it.
Anyway, so I suppose we can talk about like the big first question is, what do you guys think about sex? Well, when I say sex on screen, of course, I'm not talking about pornography in Star Trek. I'm just talking about like sex scenes, or very sensual kind of scenes. And I think the most sexual scene that we've had in all of Star Trek is maybe the Riker Troy thing in Nemesis. If I'm mistaken, maybe you guys can think of more, or maybe it's a trip to pole thing in Enterprise. But
I know it's a traumatic scene, but I think that the most gratuitous or graphic, not gratuitous, but graphic sex we've had is the Discovery one.
Yeah,
the L'Rell flashback. Although it was very short.
Oh my god! I completely I erased that. Oh, that's right. The rape thing.
Yes, that whatever. We're not. It's unclear what was happening. Maybe we can dissect that.
It was rape on one side, but not rape on the other. I guess.
That's not how it works, but anyways,
I agree. Without talking about like the non-consent aspects of things, like, do you guys want or need, or do you guys not care about having those kind of scenes in Star Trek specifically? David, take us away.
All right. Well, for me, it doesn't bother me one bit. I think it's all part of being more realistic in this day and age. I have always held the personal opinion that Star Trek has had a really bizarre relationship with sex. I mean, in TOS, it's always implied, and the women are really subservient. Then, we get to TNG, and it's, somebody walking into the quarters and the doors closing. Except when it's Troy being raped, and which is like 3 times a season. And then it's, we get coins flying everywhere and foot massages and everything like that.
Coins?
And then
I don't remember the coins. I can't remember. I'm like, I know every reference you made in them. Like, I know the foot massage reference with like the coins. When was the coins?
Don't you remember that episode where she was mind raped by the telepath and she thought it was the father?
Yes, and yes, they were like, there were things flying.
A lot of the Troy 6 scenes, I guess, are like mental rape situations.
It happens all the time with her for some bizarre reason. And she's fine the next episode.
Way, yeah. And that's like one of the biggest problems when we were doing our TNG discussions, was like they were a little heavy on the abusive side with Troy's character.
I don't even think the issue is showing a character being abused on screen, because it is a thing that sadly does happen in real life. I think it's like the nonchalance with which it's, it happens all the time, and then it's just kind of brushed over it. That's the problem.
I would say that I think that there is absolutely a place in Star Trek for sex in Star Trek, and I think Star Trek has done an awkward job of it so far, including that scene in Discovery with L'Rell. So I do hope that future iterations of Star Trek, and maybe we could talk about some scenes that are, like not as awkward. But I hope that future iterations of Star Trek keep doing like the Hugh and Paul thing, and maybe including, because I don't think they've had sex yet.
Yeah, they haven't had a sex
Yeah,
scene.
like they haven't had like a romantic, like a love scene per se. So, but they're a good relationship, right? Like everyone's like super into it, and it's a good example. And like, I think they're like, like a cool television couple. So yeah, I would like to see Star Trek, start like doing more like sex that's not traumatic or rapey, or because that seems to be like horror. I'll just say like Star Trek has this relationship with horror that I've never fully been comfortable with, and they seem to like really amp that up in sex scenes. There's a lot of sex horror involved in
Yeah.
Star Trek, and so yeah, I would love to see less of that and more just like showing a relationship, and like Stephen and Elise Keaton come to mind, like just making out, but like not having like a agenda to scare the audience or like do anything with the audience, just making it like casual and informal, like my show.
You got a plug. Yeah, because then when we move away from, by the way, Mr. Triangulum, feel free to interrupt at any point, because the two of us just interrupt each other all the time.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a
So
conversation.
We'll get ready then.
It's a Trek chat.
If we
It's a
butt
Trek
in
chat.
and you haven't finished your point, then just butt right back in and continue that point. I was gonna say we from TNG on, like in Deep Space Nine, I feel like Deep Space Nine relationship with Six is very much linked to the Mirror Universe for some reason. Like,
yeah.
It like everything sexual comes from the place of dark and bad things. It's kind of weird.
I'm interested in, like, it's been a while since I've rewatched the latter seasons of Deep Space Nine, and I'm really interested because a lot of people describe Cisco and Cassidy as a great, like, kind of on-screen, romance of a heteronormative couple, if you will. And so I'd love to see what they do. But was there ever like a love scene between them? Did they ever get like kinky
Not
or
really.
like nothing? No. Wow. Okay.
No.
They have like
No.
romantic dinners.
I
that
couldn't
kind of
remember
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have like
That's
sexual
their sex.
tension,
That's
hot arguments. I think is what they have.
And
They're Hasperat.
Keiko and Miles never do it either, or don't get a love scene, do they?
Well,
Are they ever
clearly
in
Well,
bed
no,
together?
they have children.
They do. Oh yeah,
something,
but like,
something must have happened.
They
Yeah,
just
but I'm
go into
saying
the
on
quarters. That's the thing. They just close the doors and apparently they're
That's
having
it.
sex.
Yeah,
That's how
that's
kids
what
are
I
made
guess
in the
that's what I
future.
mean. It's like we need more of those like rom-com. Let's get a little rom-com action, right, into Star Trek.
Well, Janeway was getting some holographic action, I reckon.
Oh,
That's true.
And wait, I just realized Burnham got sex on screen, but it wasn't like
got sex. Yes,
like she totally did, right? Like Burnham got a pretty good deal, and it wasn't horrific in any way, and it wasn't like it was consensual. Like, it was a good,
Well,
that's a good
actually,
Sort of.
Let's talk about that, because that actually surprised me. I now that I think of it, because when we're talking about kind of like the positive sexual experiences that happen in Star Trek, usually it is they walk into the crew quarters and they close and the door closes, or it's one of those slow pans away from the bed to like the window or whatever potted plant is next to them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they did with
Blowing
Discovery.
in the breeze.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did with Discovery season 3. Like they didn't do anything as horrific as.
Did anyone have sex in Discovery season 3?
Yeah, Burnham.
It was just Burnham and Book.
Burnham and Hot Boy Book.
So after what was the episode? It was when he.
Just a second, because when you said Burnham and sex, I was thinking about her and Ash.
Oh, did they do it too?
No, I think he's never going to.
Yeah,
have
in the
sex
Mirror
again.
Universe.
Oh, and she wore that really cool nightie.
Remember?
But there was like a dominatrix thing going on there, right? Like where she wasn't. There was like something going on, which I'm all down for.
Yeah,
that,
after Saru bathed her. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
She was all ready for it.
So Discovery's already doing a pretty good job of kind of bringing in like new things, I guess. I just want to see Hugh and Paul get it on. Like they deserve a sex scene.
Yeah, Hugh deserves more. Just we need to see more of him naked. Not necessarily full. Not necessarily full
fully
frontal,
naked.
but we need to he just needs to always have his shirt off. That's what we need. He needs to be as much with his
I'll
shirt off
second that.
as the guys in Enterprise, because Trip and Archer just always shirts
Oh,
off.
Trip, and showing his massive warp core.
I have to,
Oh,
yeah, I have to say, I never watched Enterprise
except
when
that
it
episode.
aired, and for years people have been trying to convince me to watch Enterprise, and so shout out to Earl Grey Trekkie, who likes to like watch TV with his friends like from far away, but like and then chat about it like simultaneously. So we all sync up. We do this with Jill and like some other folks, and sometimes we just like watch episodes together. We've been watching Enterprise because like why not? Like I like to watch Star Trek. I've never seen Enterprise. Season 1 and 2, whatever. I didn't watch that with him, but season 3 and 4, it's like, oh my goodness! Like I was like, wow, Enterprise is an extremely sexy show. There's a
It's the
lot of sex.
2000s. That's
Yeah,
what
there's a
TV was
lot of
like.
sex. There's a lot of sex horror in Enterprise for sure. Like like horrific things happen, and like what happens to Paul and stuff like that. But there are some, and like T'Pol and Trip are kind of stumbling and tripping over each other in the beginning, everything like that. But the show does show a lot of Trip, and I appreciate that. Like Trip takes his shirt off a lot, and I love it because I have a huge crush on Trip.
Well, can I just talk a moment about the lead up to that? Because I was thinking about this earlier and about Trip's junk. I think about that a lot. But so you remember in TNG Chain of Command 2-parter when Troy finally got her uniform?
Mm-hmm.
And you remember how everybody was like, wow, Troy in a uniform, she's so much sexier, right?
Yeah,
So
actually,
then,
well, it was
there's something
among
about a
other
uniform,
things.
isn't there?
Yeah, among other things, they were also people. I think were also just pleased to see her. I remember that you were absolutely right. People were like, "Wow, she looks really hot in the uniform." But the biggest remark
yeah,
was like, "Why wasn't she wearing a uniform the whole time?"
before,
Like, yeah, like it was like, why is she just doing this now?
Well, they took that whole thing and they ran with it. And by the time Voyager came along, they decided to put 7 of 9 in that silver tight thing that was right up to her neck, call it sort of a regeneration uniform, and show off her big, tatas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was them being progressive, okay? She only wore that for a couple of episodes because it ended up actually physically harming the actress. Right?
What?
Jerry Ryan couldn't breathe in it. So that's
Oh
when
my
they got
god.
that brown one.
You're talking about the first initial one that almost had like it had basically panels in the front of it. It
Yeah. It
was
was
weird
all
looking.
silver.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't remember that. That's weird. I gotta go
I
back and watch.
headcanon that as like the post Borg. You know what I mean? Like for some reason she had to wear that one for a couple of weeks because it was helping her with a post Borg operation or whatever.
Yeah, it was her regeneration uniform, right? Like it was supposed to help her regenerate, and I mean, they did that for the simple fact of showing off what she had, right? Her Borg assets, and this was progressive. So then they got a lot of flack for that. So what they did in Enterprise is they decided instead of fixing it so that T'Pol would wear, say, a standard uniform and look hot, they put T'Pol in another skin tight outfit
Yeah,
and
it's
instead decided to have men running around as sex objects as well. That's how they decided to fix that issue. And in the end, I mean, sure, I appreciate it, but it really didn't work, right?
Not really. I've seen a lot of complaints about Enterprise and like the over-sexualization of women, but there's an over-sexualization of the men as well. And as you say, it's like a completely ridiculous answer. It's like instead of restraining the over-sexualization of your actors and your characters, you're just like, oh well, let's make it equal, and it's just like have everybody be sex objects walking around the bridge.
Right.
I'm glad to see that society demands that less and less, but I will say to just like not the credit, but like to the I guess it is a little to the defense of like the people making the shows, that unfortunately was the demand. I mean, Star Trek used to play on Spike, which was like a male testosterone like channel, and like especially Voyager I remember was playing on Spike in reruns or whatever. And I grew up around, like, I didn't have a lot of other like homosexual friends growing up. Like in my environment, for some reason it was just like more conservative, and so people were less apt to come out or be open. And so I remember just like watching Star Trek with my male friends, and they were like, "Yeah, look how hot she is," and this. And I was like, you know what? Like that's like the thing you don't really hear about, that part of it, but like ultimately, I do think they were catering to this partially, but also feeding it, of course. So I'm so glad we've come a long way from, not to do the Enterprise thing, but we've come a
Yeah.
long way from that. But what I will say is that like
Well,
I
fandom
agree.
has grown. I think like we talk about diversity on screen, but I think diversity in fandom is very much more a case now. I think maybe it was true that before the fandom was predominantly like straight guys, um,
Yeah,
but now, of
or at
course,
least I think
it's
Star Trek's always had like a nice gay representation, like
well,
in
there's
the
always been
fandom.
a lot of women fans of Star Trek, of course.
And also, but I would say that there's been a good gay representation in the fandom going back to like maybe the 80s or something like that, but not on
You're
screen.
talking
You know what I
slash
mean? Like,
fiction.
yeah, well, yeah, not just slash fiction, but just like a lot of, I felt growing up that whenever I did find another person who, was homosexual or bisexual, and like, I did make connections with them, like oftentimes they would be like, "Oh, and I love Star Trek." And it was, so I feel like Star Trek's always attracted like all sexual orientations and all genders, but like homosexuality in particular for some reason was very prevalent in the fandom in the 80s and the 90s. But I could be wrong about that. But going back to the thing though about the show is that I will say that like I am, you're absolutely right, like Enterprise was at least attempting to balance out the equation,
Yes.
because before it was 100% like just exploitative of females more than it was of males, I think. And
It's a wrong solution, but at least it's like an
Yes.
acknowledgement of the problem, I guess.
I guess,
Right?
yeah.
But that's not sex itself. Do you guys want
No.
to see more sex?
Yes.
And I will say this: I'm not okay. I don't really care about like seeing sex in my TV shows or like violence or what. Like I don't. If whatever it is drives the story, that's what counts. But and I know you're gonna mock me for the Andorian thing, but I would like to see some alien sex on screen. Not necessarily like on screen, but you guys get what I mean. I would like to see. I would like to learn more about like the culture
But
of
didn't
the
you already
species that we
see
know.
that Q sex?
Okay, so
I mean, wasn't
I'm
that
yeah.
satisfying?
Well, I guess the finger touch.
Yes.
I think the real question is like, to tie it in a little bit further, is like there is sex, there's a lot of sex in Star Trek, but like do
Mhm.
we want to see more nudity, I think is the question. Like do you want to see more, like right now sex is like PG, maybe PG-13 in Star Trek, and like
Well, give me more Klingon titties.
do
Come
we
on.
want to see, like R, well I'm saying like overall, not right now, but
Okay,
overall
so
sex is like
you can't put
PG
you
and
can't put an
PG-13.
erect penis on screen. You're not allowed.
You can't?
Um,
You
you
can, well,
can? I
like,
don't think you
yeah,
For
can
on
streaming, I
streaming it
think you
television.
doesn't
can, yeah.
matter. Yeah, like streaming is like a whole new world,
Okay,
a
so
whole new
let's
world.
okay,
See
so
Captain
let's
Picard's penis.
let's talk about this. Okay,
I know
I
some
think
people
no
that would
one
love
wants to
that.
see. Yeah,
No,
okay.
I would love to see Captain Picard's
Wouldn't it
penis.
break the image that you have of Captain Picard? Just
No,
like every time he has a speech, wouldn't you have his penis in your mind?
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure like all British actors, Sir Patrick Stewart has already revealed his penis to audiences. Like most British actors do Equus, the play Equus, or like some play on
Oh,
stage
I'll
that
have to Google
requires
this.
full. I could almost 100% guarantee you that there's already Sir Patrick Stewart. I've never looked it up, but I'm sure there's like Sir Patrick Stewart peen out there somewhere. And I think he himself, as a British person slash performer, I feel like British performers are way less uptight about nudity in general. Like most
Oh,
British
yes.
films that I
Yes.
see, or like even period films, whatever, it's like at some point everyone takes their clothes off and you see lots of penises and stuff like that. So I don't think it would be a problem
It's
from
good
that
TV.
person. Yeah, it is good TV. I really that's why I watched A Room with a View when I was a kid like so many times. It was just for like the pond scene. I was like, oh my god, there's floppy dicks. Like it's crazy. But yeah, I would 100% be fine with a casual full frontal nudie, just exiting the sonic shower, Sir Patrick Stewart in Star Trek Picard. 100%.
So what about a Klingon? Because technically there's two there.
Also 100%
Oh, yeah. Totally fine
comfortable.
with that.
Yeah. Like a shower
Two
locker room
penises, more the
scene.
fun.
Yeah. A sonic shower locker room scene. Bring it on.
On a crossover episode too.
And
You
you could
see,
get
that's the
some
missed potential of Enterprise. They should have done that with Reed and what's his face from the Mako. They should have had that sexy tension locker room scene to make it even more
100%.
high school cringe.
Oh yes,
100%. And I think that like you could do a co-ed shower, because why would people be hung up on separating by the sexes or the genders in the future, right? So like those communal showers, locker rooms, they'd be co-ed 100%. Not even co-ed, like all ed, whatever you like.
all ed.
All ed. So we could get a little bit of something for everyone in that one shot. With that one locker room scene can cover it all and solve so many problems.
I guess it does depend on the show though. Because with this like
Alex Kurtzman said Star Trek Picard is the adult show, so that's the place to do it.
Well, I wouldn't be totally game for any of this happening in something like Strange New Worlds, because I want my
Why
Strange.
not?
I
He wants it to be one
Oh my
he
God,
can watch
Spock
with his daughter.
gone far?
It's selfish. He wants to watch it with his daughter. He wants to like.
I want
the
my
family show.
I want my Strange New Worlds. Okay, I know this is probably like a dream that won't happen, but I want it to be just so old school. It's
not gonna happen.
Corny, right?
It's not gonna happen. Well, corny will happen, but it won't be like what you said.
I want it to be just like week to week. We're going to this planet. Oh, it's just a bunch of humans with like pink hair or something. That's what I want.
And they're all doing it. That's what I want.
Well, that's TNG, isn't it?
That's TNG.
Oh my god. Yeah. Movies might have, I guess, more liberty to do that, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like there was just the one kind of funny, steamy scene with the Orion cadet, and wait, there was more than an Orion. There was a Cation as well, right? Like, was Captain Kirk in bed with a Cation?
Yeah, Captain Kirk had like
two of them, wasn't it, or something?
Two in his bed, yeah, in the beginning of
And one was a Cation, wasn't?
Yeah.
Wasn't? Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so there you go, Toddy. You got your alien representation.
Yeah.
But that was definitely like a PG-13 type of scene. Like,
well,
it's always
it's always pre or post 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I learned as an adult now at age 42 that when Spock, like things like in TOS, there was like sex going on, but like it's like usually off camera, so they'll say like they'll indicate it by like having a costume change. So like on in that episode with the flowers that spray you with like hypnotic seeds, right? That sounds out of context. That sounds so bad.
With glitter. No, it was like little pieces of paper, whatever.
Paper, whatever.
Poof.
I don't know why I can't remember the title. I'm so bad at that stuff. But Spock is in uniform, goes off with the girl, and then in the next scene he's
Side of Paradise.
Thank you. In the next scene he's changed his clothing and he's wearing like a worker suit or whatever. And that was meant to say like they went off and did it, and then like that's why Spock had a different outfit on or whatever.
Steamy.
And it was like such an aha moment. And so now I look for it in the original series where I'm like, oh, that guy he just changed his clothes. He just totally did it. What?
This implies you cannot put on the same clothes again once you've done it. Like the clothes are sullied or something.
Well, I imagine they took a shower together. Like there's like an hour at least.
Or maybe they did like a Kirk thing. They ripped his clothes off.
Oh, yeah.
Could have been that. True.
Yeah, I would like to see kind of learn more about. I know there's a lot of humanoids in Star Trek, so I'm assuming humanoids kind of function the same way we do. Like even if Klingons have 2, it's kind of the basic premise, like the same as us. But things like the Tholians, right? Like they're just like crab-like scorpion things. I think it would be interesting to maybe explore some of that.
How would you explore that, though? Like, how would you fit that into the story?
Well, I don't know. Well, Tholians, it's difficult because Tholians specifically, you can't really explore much more of them, I think. But, I'm trying to think of another species. Phylosians. You know, those plant people from...
yeah, they'd be great. They could just spore on each
so
other.
hot.
It's like... It'd be awesome.
It doesn't even need to be censored.
Oh, you got it on my foliage. Yeah.
The cool thing about aliens is like you can do things like bend the rules. Like let's say that there aren't rules on streaming, but there's like social rules, right? But you could bend the rules. Like you can do ejaculation scenes with like spores, and no one would care. Like if you had like little
Yes.
spores like flying out of like weird, ejaculation orifices, and like no one like that didn't look anything like a penis, no one would care. They'd be like, yeah. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, you could actually do like a full sex scene, but of course it wouldn't be what we humans
Recognizable.
Yeah, so that could work.
You could have all sorts of things. Like you could, I don't know how far we're allowed to go on this show, but like you could have alien bukkake. You get
Dear Lord.
you can have you can have like alien S&M. You can have like all
Okay,
kinds
so
of
does that contrast too much?
fetishes.
Does that contrast too much with what Star Trek
I
is,
made
though?
David cough. What's that?
Does that contrast too much with what Star Trek is, though? Do you want to really see that in your Star Trek show?
Yes, no, I don't think it contrasts at all. I think it would enhance Star Trek. I do think there's a limited capacity at which Star Trek can do it because they're not known for it, but like it can be done. I feel like Star Trek can pull it off and do it in a way that like suits the overall vibe of the show.
Yeah. There's that scene with I'm
He's
trying
like,
to think.
no.
I'm trying to
He's
think
like,
back
no.
at
Yeah,
sex
no.
scenes. But the sex scenes that we get aren't really sex scenes. There's the moment where Emperor Jojo walks off with two Orions.
Yeah,
And,
that was a
Oh,
great.
yes.
Not just walks off; they're in bed, overhead mirror, like over the bed mirror shot,
Yeah.
looking down, post-coital, frolicking, and then she like, whips one around, and yeah, there's like a lot of stuff going on. That was really good. Actually, that kind of delivers a little bit of what I was saying with the kink aspect, because the Orions like were kind of wearing, like very like outfits that are associated with human scenes, like kink scenes right now, like the jock strap type of thing. Like I got that vibe. I'm trying to remember that scene, but I got the vibe from that there's like a jock strap thing going on, maybe a harness, which I love harnesses personally, and like and stuff like that. So I feel like
Everyone I'm on, you always mention a harness every time I'm on.
I'm obsessed with harnesses. I have no bones about it. I discovered years ago I was dating someone, and he suggested we go to a bear night. And when I went in, there was like lots of people wearing harnesses, and I was like so envious.
Pretty sure
Riker
goes to a lot of those.
And I've never taken my shirt off at a club. Like I'm usually the guy who's always well dressed, clothed. That day it was really hot outside, so I was just wearing like a t-shirt and jeans, right? But they had a shop where like the man who made there was a man there who was like famous for making harnesses, was like making a leather harness like right on site, and he was selling his wares, and I was so excited about it that I bought a harness, took off my shirt, put the harness on, and just like had a great time with all these bears. And so it was so much fun. So I still have that harness, and it has a sentimental place for me. So whenever I see a harness on TV, I get excited. And I actually know that this is not true, but I credit the original series with creating the harness fetish in general, because of the episode where Captain Kirk is wearing what looks like a similar style to the harnesses. Yes, 100%. That's where it slipped into the subconscious mind of many Star Trek fans, and then harnesses were born in the scene.
No, I don't think that's true. But yeah, you say you credit it yourself. It's like a personal credit that you give that show. That scene.
I'm gonna have to do a video essay on this now. Maybe David's really good at video essays, so maybe he'll give me a hand here on
Okay.
This one. We could do a collab. There we go.
What would you want to see more of, David, or less of?
I want to see I love the fact that Star Trek is becoming more realistic, because it speaks to this day and age and is creating an audience for this day and age to allow Star Trek to continue on into the future. And a huge part of, you know, everyone's lives in this day and age is sex. You know, it used to be that we pretended, you know, in the 60s, 70s, 80s that, you know, you didn't have sex until you were married, right? But we all know that's not true. And I think what new Star Trek is doing by integrating, you know, more sexual aspects is it's actually allowing parents to open up a dialogue with their children about sex a lot easier. You know, it's sort of, I don't want to say trailblazing because obviously Star Trek's not the first to do this type of thing, but, you know, it's easier to start a conversation when you have a point of reference to start from, which is what Star Trek has always been about, opening up a discussion. So I think layering on some more just, you know, not gratuitous sex or anything, but, you know, a few flashes of side boob and maybe a ball sack here and there, you know, in a nice, comfortable environment where everybody's not being raped or abducted or, you know, mind effed, whatever, something like that, you know, would be really beneficial to Star Trek to bring it into this new age of television.
I agree. And I think that they have an opportunity to do something like what you described, which is like not being done, because there are a lot of shows now on TV, adult quote unquote shows like Game of Thrones didn't shy away from, you know, showing full nudity and like
Mm-hmm.
just like the only ones I can think of like right now for on top of my head for some reason are like period pieces like Rome was one of the first ones I remember doing it, Spartacus,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But I think Star Trek, yeah, I totally think Star Trek could do it. And I think again, like I think that Star shows like Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Discovery, I think Star Trek Discovery is changing its tune. I think it's starting to change to a more mass appeal type of show. And I think you won't see as much on there. But I mean, like Star Trek Picard certainly has the opportunity, I think, to go in those directions and kind of break some of those, like, you know, rules, quote unquote, those unsaid, perhaps, rules that Star Trek has always adhered to up until now. Or maybe a new
Yeah, let
show.
Elnor get a boyfriend.
Yeah, and let's you know, or,
You know,
yeah,
because I
exactly.
thought that's where
I
it
mean,
was going with Hugh and him.
we're gonna get. I think based, even if it wasn't true, I think based on like the reaction that I've seen, we're probably gonna get like something interesting between Rafi and Seven of Nine.
Yes.
And I think that's a great opportunity as well. Like, so yeah, I do think like Star Trek Picard has like a lot of great opportunities to do that. And if, you know, if it is indeed the quote unquote adult show, you know, let's slap that extra rating, you know, that 18 plus, I guess, whatever it is, you know, like rating on there. And I guess it's different in different countries, because I think it's totally, they do 16 plus in the UK, because you could watch Queer as Folk in the UK at 16, but we couldn't watch it here in the USA without parental guidance until we were 18. So it just depends where you are. But whatever that is in your region, in your area, like slap that on Picard. I wonder what its rating actually is. I guess we could look that up.
I don't know. What I didn't actually look. I looked into, because Discovery, there was a whole thing about it being, I suppose, TV mature, which is 17. But I didn't look up Picard. I'm thinking now, based on what you said, David. If they ever decide to do that Starfleet Academy show, because
Yeah.
the Academy, like Starfleet Academy, it won't be a thing where everyone is a kid and everyone's underaged. Starfleet Academy, there's a lot of adults, and it would be fun to follow a group of people. You know, you could follow multiple groups of people, some that are younger, like teenage years, but some that are older. You know, people that have decided to join the Federation or join Starfleet, sorry, after years of working in whatever field. And I think that would be a good place to explore some coming of age stories for the younger characters. So you can deal
Yes.
with like sexual elements as well as gender identity, you know, sexual orientations. And then you could also throw in some of like the cultural differences that the species in Star Trek have.
Yeah, because
You could make comedy out of it, but you could also put some good drama into that. I think that could
yeah,
work.
exactly. That could really work. And I mean, we don't really know. We know being, you know, homosexual or on the full spectrum with sexuality is considered, you know, okay and everything in Star Trek, but we don't really know what it's like for someone who, you know, is coming out. Like, what's coming out like? Is it just, oh, suddenly, you're gay and that's okay, or is it still something that people, that there is some slight
Is there
stigmatism
no
about?
coming out?
Well,
In
exactly.
the sense that, like, in society today, when you're heterosexual, you never come out. You just basically, at some point, you become interested in, so, like, if you're a guy, you become interested in girls. Maybe it's the
Or
same
is
thing.
bisexuality the norm?
Technically, I think bisexuality.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
would be.
I was gonna say that is the truth.
Well, no, a lot of studies have shown that like like 100% heterosexual and 100% homosexual people only make up roughly 10% of the population, but that everyone else falls within a spectrum of bisexuality.
Well, how can one be heterosexual when Chris Evans exists?
There you go. Case in point. Case in point. So now we know
Science.
that Sean falls somewhere on the on the curve, like going towards the middle.
I
there.
fall on the Chris Evans spectrum.
It's
the what? Sorry,
the Chris Evans spectrum.
The Chris Evans spectrum.
Does wife on the tube know that?
I don't know. I'm not into kinks, by the way, but he better put on the goddamn uniform.
That's amazing. Oh, we forgot that
you're
you
making
were
me cough again.
Yeah, we're making him cough. We're killing him.
Yeah, I'm still not feeling 100%.
David's so kind to be here with us. He's not fully, back from his convalescence,
from death.
From death, basically. But you sound
really
good.
Nearly did.
Like you sound really good. You sound almost like you sound.
I'm almost
like
there. I'm just still a bit drained and still have this nagging cough. But oh well. Anyways, back to sex.
Yeah, I think that sexual orientation is very different in like the future of Star Trek, because we have. I never say these kind of things, but we have terms like heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, etc. I don't think that even kind of exists in Star Trek, because...
But didn't we get a bunch of terms slapped in our face, though?
Oh, well, yeah, what's the face? Emperor Georgiou.
So it must still exist.
Maybe, but maybe she was human talking to other humans, but I feel like in a society with so many different species, right?
The transgendered one was talking about using pronouns and stuff, so it must not be common. Or because why else would you have to tell someone?
I think I get what Sean's saying.
Pronouns is a bit different.
Those are human. Well, those are human perspectives. All those characters are kind of human, because I think what's their name? Adira is a human, and so I think that's what Sean's getting at, is like those norms seem to be human norms, but we don't really see any. All aliens seem to talk in human terms. So yeah, like like, and that's what we'd like to see, is like different. Like I think that's what would be neat, is to see different ideas of it.
Mariner bursts into a bar and then says, "Aliens, get down," or something. It's like, how racist are you? You're saying aliens. You're the only human in the bar.
It's true.
On an alien, on a world that is not Earth.
Star Trek, and as well as the fans, myself here, what keeps happening, and it's just like kind of like you have to give everyone a little bit of a break about it, is that like we can't help but make it human centric. I mean, like,
no, I understand.
It's like,
so that we can relate, and so that we can have like something to kind of, the show has to anchor us. I guess we have to have something to relate to
a framework, I guess. But yeah, it would be nice.
It's a point of view thing, right?
A show that I think did this really well, that I'm surprised like Star Trek doesn't do more of this with, is like in Battlestar Galactica, for example. Like they look human,
here we go,
the characters, but they use words like frack and Feldercarb and like all kinds of weird terms that like you have to like really pay attention, and over time you understand, oh, they're saying the F word, and they're saying, well, that one's easy, but frack and but like Feldercarb, it took me a while to realize that they were saying bullshit or something, like, what I mean? Like I still don't remember what curse word Feldercarb was, but that was what it was exciting about, is that like you do find out, like they do show you eventually, but like it's so different that even today I'm like, oh, I don't remember what that was, but it was a cool thing to learn. You know what I mean? Like it was a cool thing to throw in. Make it weird and alien, guys.
Make it weird and alien. That's it. That's exactly what I've been
Strange new worlds and possibilities of sex.
I've been wanting to see the 4, physical biological genders that the Andorians are supposed to have. It's not canon technically, but let's make it canon. I want to see how that works.
Start a hashtag.
Start a hashtag. I've already got too many hashtags. I've got my hashtag release the Cisco cut going. So
I think someone recently got mad at me. I was on a stream doing a watch along of Batman versus Superman, and the Zod creature. What's it called again? The creature that they resurrect, and it's not
Doomsday.
Doomsday. Thank you. I was like, there's no reason why Doomsday shouldn't have a penis. Like, it's ridiculous that
there's no reason why Doomsday should have a penis.
Should, yeah.
No, he totally
it's just
should.
a big monstrous beast.
Like, we know that Superman can reproduce. And
you just wanted to see a big floppy rock penis.
Yes.
Doomsday. But he's not a rock. He wasn't a rock. He's like some kind of leather. But yeah,
there was enough shit going on.
Who's to say
screen.
It'll be big? It could be a nub. It doesn't have to be big. But it just needed to. I think it just needed to be there. Or they should have had a scene where, what's his face? Luthor dresses him at least, or something.
That's ridiculous. That's a waste of. And then what? During the fight, he takes time to go and pee. He has to stop. No,
excuse me.
No, I disagree. I think it's fine. I think it's fine to have big beasts without necessarily penises
or vaginas. Doomsday could have been a female, but
I don't know.
It was Zod.
Maybe,
it was Zod. But still.
Look, hey, maybe there were genitals. You just didn't recognize them because he's alien.
Yeah, but how is Superman compatible? Because Zod is a Kryptonian, right? And Superman's a Kryptonian. He's compatible with Lois. They've had children. That's canon. So one would assume that there's some kind of a similar instrument of reproduction occurring on Kryptonians. So I would say that it may not look 100% like a human penis, but it should. Maybe it's purple. I don't know, but it should.
His fingers aren't purple.
Why?
Leave Superman alone. All right, he looks like they all look like humans. Right? We all look the same. That's it. He's just more powerful because he's got the yellow sun. That's it.
And Kryptonians would actually say that
his extremities don't need to be purple.
Kryptonians would possibly say that humans look Kryptonian. And I think ultimately, I don't think this has ever been as far as I know, it has never been resolved, but it would lead very logically that Kryptonians who once explored the galaxy may have seeded, no pun intended, humanity at one point, and so they are somehow, that's why they're biologically compatible.
Perhaps I have to take you away from this whole sidetrack
of
the Superman and the Zod. Vulcans, we've seen their sexuality and their kind of I suppose the culture and the whole thing about their the whole Pong Fa. We've seen that explored quite well, and I think that the original series did a good job.
Touching. Star Trek 3.
Yeah, it took me a long time. It took me a long time to realize that was not it. That's their foreplay. I always thought I was I actually was Star Trek just showed sex, full sex.
So do you think Vulcan sex is really rough and wild then?
I would assume it is, because it's like an unleashing of all of their emotions.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Yeah.
I think it is. I think that's why they have to go into the caves so that they don't destroy everything in their beautiful homes.
Oh my gosh. Now I want a Vulcan husband, more than ever.
Didn't you want a Klingon husband?
No, I've never. Oh, you wanted a Klingon husband. That's
Me?
Awesome. No, I never wanted a Klingon husband, but I think David was just saying, yeah.
I'll take whatever I can get.
Well,
I'm
humans,
not picky.
That's what we got for the moment. I want an Andorian partner. That's what I want.
You'd look great with an Andorian partner, actually.
I would.
Yeah.
He's confident. He's so confident. He's I would look great with an Andorian partner.
I would definitely go with Orion, a little Orion slave boy. That's where I'm at.
He's got the daddy thing going on.
Apparently, yes.
I would be into the Discovery Orions. I did not appreciate the...
You like them pale, looking sick.
Didn't you like the Enterprise Orion guy?
No, I didn't like... I mean, they were cool. Don't get...
With all the
with his ginger eyebrows?
Wait, Like,
They've
but
got
he had
like
all the metal, right? Like, there were a bunch of
yeah,
Orion guys. Yeah, I don't
the
remember the
hassle at
ginger
airports.
eyebrows, but that's a good thing. That's definitely like, it's sad that gingers have become fetishes, but yeah, sorry, ginger
It's because
people.
unfortunately there's less and less of them.
I know they're disappearing, right? Gingers are
Yeah.
disappearing. Oh,
Everyone is a fetish,
What's your
right?
fetish?
yeah. What's your fetish?
I didn't say everyone has a fetish. I said everyone is a fetish.
Oh, could be a
Oh,
fetish.
is.
This is
I
true.
think like yeah, every difference is a fetish for someone else, right?
I
That's
think
true.
I think fetishizing differences is a healthy way to deal with differences, and it's good because it means you're like trying to explore those differences
Yeah,
as opposed
it's
to
a
like,
positive, not a
it's a
negative, isn't it?
positive, yeah. But yeah, you're right. I guess everyone could be fetishized. It's true.
It just occurred to me that we've had like would you call this polyamorous, or what is it, like Phlox and his three wives that each have three husbands? How's that? What's that?
Oh, that is
What's that look like?
polyamory.
Yeah.
That's 100% poly. Why didn't I even realize that? That's crazy.
It's because
And
it wasn't really explored to the
it
fullest,
wasn't
I think, on screen.
explored, yeah, because we never really saw that many other nobulans.
Oh,
Yes, which
did
is
we ever meet
unfortunate.
his family pack or whatever?
Just one wife, I think, right?
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Now
Oh,
that
that's right. There's one wife that she wants to have
Bang
sex
Tucker.
with, yeah.
I don't, has that I wonder if saw that episode and forgot it because I don't remember that episode. That's crazy. What season is that? Like later 4? Because I'm in season 4 now.
I
I think
think it's
it's
earlier than that,
two,
but
like
Oh,
one or
then I
yeah,
two, I
totally,
think.
yeah, then I totally like misremember. I totally didn't
like that kind
absorb
of
that
episode
episode.
can't be 3 because they're lost in their expanse.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were so busy doing story arcs in season 4 that it has to be before that.
Oh, making a note to go back and watch. I gotta find it.
But I don't know if they had like group sex, or if it's like, each
Mhm.
wife individually has sex with their husband, or if it just depends on what each individual, I guess, desires, or
Yeah, Star Trek didn't want to push it that far. It says, okay, they have, multiple wives and husbands, but we won't tell you anything about it.
There is a show that did push it that far, which it's called Future Man, and it's done really fun in a humorous way, but it's done well. If you
I feel
guys
like
ever get
you
a chance to see
often
it,
talk about Future Man.
it's a good show. It's a great show.
I've heard that
I
come up now and then.
Yeah, I totally love that show. It's really good. It's worth a look.
Making a note.
I think we've
Yeah.
explored this as much as possible.
I don't think we've explored sex as much as possible, but I understand that there's a time limit to your show.
Yeah, there is. There comes a point where we have to end the show. But yeah, I think everyone's fine with having more sex, especially like as the TV landscape and as the audience is kind of changing. I don't want it to become the Game of Thrones thing. I don't need the incestuous things, and like even if it's for villains, or even if
We're
it's
already.
to
I
make a
feel like
point.
Star Trek's already started crossing that line.
Started, but
Unfortunately,
it like the
Yeah.
Picard reined it back. They're like, nope, we're not going there. They kind of tried, but then like, no, 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 let's leave it be.
I ultimately think that like there still has to be. I think that the direction that they're going in now with Star Trek is that rather than like in the past, like you would have a show that was generally geared towards like a wide audience, like a large group of ages. So from like probably like teenage to adult, whatever, from 15 to 99. And what they're doing now is that, like, which I think is great and I think it's really positive, is in order to explore some of the themes that are inappropriate for younger audiences, they're creating shows that only are catered to or approved for older audiences. And now with shows like Star Trek Prodigy, they're catering to like to an audience that we've never had with Star Trek, because I think Prodigy is like going to draw in an even younger audience that normally would be interested in Star Trek. I mean, like, there's exceptions
Well, that's the
to every
point of the
rule.
show, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say there's exceptions to every rule. Like, I know you and I don't remember David your story, but like I watched Star Trek when I was like 5. Like my parents didn't care. Like they thought it was totally fine to put me in front of Star Trek, and but it wasn't. It was definitely not designed for a 5-year-old. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but now they're doing that, which is great, and I think it's great to kind of like do that and have shows that are like more geared for it. I do think we'll have a show that like eventually, like I have a feeling it might be Strange New Worlds because it kind of fits the bill, especially since it's like a flagship show. Being on the Enterprise automatically makes it like a flagship show in my mind. And I think that show is going to be the one that like mostly plays it safe, and delivers to like a wide range of audiences, and then the other shows can kind of do their thing in adult land or children land or whatever, and I love that. I love that Star Trek is in this place. I can't believe there's that many Star Trek shows and that they can do all these things, so it's pretty exciting.
Amen.
And they have such a wide like variety and range of characters to play with now.
Yeah.
As if they hadn't before, but yeah, no, it's great. Any final thoughts or final words?
Give us more sex.
Valid, but don't give us
not gratuitous sex.
Yeah, not gratuitous and not horrific, kind of like rapey.
No mind rapes anymore.
Control-y. No, none of that. None of that.
No.
There's so much horror sex in Star Trek. Yeah, let's give it.
Lorca and Admiral, what was she called?
Admiral Cornwell. Yeah.
Yeah, they had like a kind of relationship going on there.
But even that scene, he like pulls a freaking phaser on
him.
Like,
but that was Mirror Lorca, wasn't it?
Well, still,
before that, she had a healthy relationship with the real Lorca, with Prime Lorca.
Off screen.
Yes.
We didn't get a flashback to nice times and romantic Lorca.
No, we didn't. We didn't. All right, so we need like a rom-com. We need a Star Trek rom-com at this point.
Just like some rom-com elements, and again, Hugh. I feel like personally, I stand for the vehicle being Hugh and Paul, because they're just like already a very popular couple, and like people really like them. But
the entire B plot of like the Discovery episodes should just be like Hugh and Stamets's date nights.
I'd love that. Actually.
Steamy date nights, though. That's what this.
Well, not every episode. You can change it up. Sometimes it's steamy. Sometimes it's
every
more relaxed.
Episode. I want to see like nipples and
you want that steam.
Yeah, I want the heavy breathing. I want a shower scene. A sonic shower scene. I gotta always say sonic shower.
Yeah, well, sonic showers is steam infused, isn't it? So it's automatically steamy.
Yeah, what is that? Is that what happens in a because like I can't remember. I don't know. There's a B'Elanna scene, right? Like
yes,
sonic
yes.
Oh, that was fucking awkward. You're talking about the doctor that kind of checks in on her as she's taking a shower?
Is that it? And then like, but is there it's a
no? There's the
shower.
one where she's at the end of the episode after she's been on the Hirogen. Not the Hirogen, the Malon vessel, where she's all dirty and she gets naked, steps into the sonic shower, and we see like the sound particles taking the dirt off her.
Okay.
Oh wow. So I don't know if I can. What
Juggernaut was the episode.
Okay.
So yeah, basically that is the only sonic shower scene we've ever gotten, right? Like I don't feel like. We saw one in Naked Now where it was like basically they pulled that guy out of the sonic shower. He was frozen. And they were like, why did he take a sonic shower fully clothed? And I was like, why not? There's no water, like, right? Like it's supposed to be sonic. So like
I would assume you have
wouldn't
to
it clean your clothes as well as your body?
I don't think so. I think it would clean your body, but then that would all get stuck onto the clothes. Because doesn't it do a thing where it opens your pores maybe and cleanses your skin or something?
How does sound clean anything? Is that even possible?
Oh yeah, it should be.
Has any scientist written a paper on this?
Sound is waves.
It's just I feel
wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well,
right, but how does that like?
It would be like a high. It would be like an extremely. It would
resonate.
Low.
It would resonate on your skin or something.
It would have to be an extreme, like a frequency that could like actually push you, but make no audible sound in the human hearing range, or the actually like all species. It would be like outside, either above.
This has to be
below.
A Vulcan thing.
This is like one of those episodes where we need a lifeline from Larry Nemechek to like pop in and be like, actually guys, this is how
sonic
shower works, and he'll know who wrote it. And
there has to be an entire book out there dedicated to like the technology.
Showers.
Oh, I'm sure.
If not, if there's no sonic shower manual out there, I feel like that could be another collab that we could do. Our next podcast together could be about sonic showers.
All right, that's about it. Sex in Star Trek. Give us more of it, but make it positive. Make it nice to watch. Make it about people that love each other. There you go.
Yes.
Amen.
And
And
that's
get
it.
some kinks in there, like
Get-
harnesses.
That's the Sahel desire. That's just what you want specifically.
Absolutely. And Starfleet Boy also endorses it. Just FYI.
Starfleet Boy After Dark endorses it, you mean?
Indeed.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you, David, for joining us, even though you're still feeling a bit under the weather.
Hey, anytime. It was great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You have to come back. We won't talk
Oh, I
about
will.
Sonic. We won't talk about Sonic showers. We'll find something
I'm
else.
going to research it. Don't worry.
I have to say, I can't believe we've been on for an hour. That went by fast. Like, it was super. I was like, whoa, like that's awesome.
It was fun.
Like, yeah, it was super fun. So thank you, Sean.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. You can find both of my good friends on the YouTubes, on the Twitters. There's Starfleet Boy, the YouTube channel, the Starfleet Boy on Twitter, TriAngulum Audio Studios on Twitter and on YouTube. I'll put the links in the description as usual. And live long and prosper.